Hello, Boris Pravisham here, and I'm on the Nidd server. I know I said, well, I made a brief comment about anyway. It looks like there's some meteors inbound that... Did that just hit something? It wasn't that. That happened earlier. Maybe it was there. I don't know. Even with all these things... Oh, look at this one. It's focusing that way. Was that an asteroid, or is that... the faction thing? Is that wrong? That's it to nobody. That should be alright. Okay. I lost my train of thought. I made a comment that there was going to be 4 parts of that first recording, but I went through the last hour and, you know, I wasn't really recording per se. I was playing and then just recording in the background, so it didn't exactly make for the best viewing. So I gave up on editing that, and instead I'm just going to give an update of where we're at the moment, because every day that goes on where I try to edit something into something watchable that will never end up that way means that we get a little bit further behind. Now, to give you a bit of perspective, oh, by the way, even though we've got this ridiculous number of turrets on there, for some reason I'm thinking maybe number of turrets doesn't equal protection. More protection. Because we're still getting bombarded quite a lot. I'll talk about the meteors in a minute and what's going to happen with them. But just before this is straight after the update. What number is it? It'll tell you over here. 1.044, the spherical gravity generator being the main thing. Just after we updated, we loaded up the world, and I wasn't there for it, but apparently it got very heavily bombarded by meteors, and we've just finished fixing most of it. Well, you know, there's still bits and pieces, so it's very plain. I just ran over with the base color, that blue. We're going to add some touch-ups and some extra little things. I don't like the look of this pincushion with Gatling turrets everywhere, but I put them up there in the hope that we could lessen the impacts. Right. So what was I going to do? That's right. Give you an idea. So here is where the actual the platform started. I think it was about here on the Lone Survivor world. Was it the Lone Survivor? No, yes, it was the Lone Survivor world. So that's about where it cut off, and it went over to around about here, and that's where I'm not sure if we still have the original refinery, but we haven't. That's about where it was. So we've left that stuff and then just sort of built around without a plan. This is going to be the sort of communal platform, so I'm going to try and... I don't exactly know whether it's going to be functional or not, but I'm going to try and build some sort of a trading port here. Doesn't mean we're going to use it, but, you know, the main reason for this server is just to have a bit of fun and to build things. Those things don't need to be functional, they just, you know, we just need to have fun building them. So I'm going to try... I've come up with a few different ways of... I think, of trading, you know, because you don't want just 2 ships coming up against each other and connecting connectors, because then you're kind of allowing access to your ship to another ship that you mightn't really want. So you need sort of a third party involved. Well, not necessarily a third party, but a middleman. Whether that be mechanical or not doesn't really matter, but anyway, over here, well, I didn't really get this on video because that was after, so that's the hangar door I showed at the very end of the last video, and here's we've got to make this all heavy armor because we're ruining everything. As you can see, the roof is all over the place as well. So this door still works. It's the only one that hasn't been broken, at least once. Everything. Who did everything? That's not going to... That's, you know, we've done a lot since then, so I'm deleting that. And button panels. I think someone did that just to set the ownership, so hopefully I can get rid of that, because I've built a couple since then anyway. Let's have a look for piston hangar door. We can reverse that. I always leave the speed. I did sort of experiment, both in this world and in another multiplayer world, with the speed of pistons, and I don't know if it's still the case, but I kept getting sort of glitchiness, and if you increased it, it tended to do that desync thing. So that's there. The colour obviously doesn't really fit in. I just realised to lock myself out. But there's a door there. It's not too shabby looking, I don't think. I'm going to have to search again. A door, reverse. And there we go. An opening. And as we come in here, again, the colours are terrible. That orange looked really good with a grey wall. But we decided this blue and yellow was going to be the colour of the communal platform, which, the Barack Obama platform. But with that blue, it sort of looks a bit, as you can see here, that's where another asteroid actually hit. Those top doors were open, and an asteroid flew in and blew up inside. Luckily, there was nothing parked there. This thing was made by Has-Been. Keeps changing the name. Apparently it's the U8 Terrier now. But, that thing can drill. He's gotten us quite a lot of materials. In fact, the majority of this station, I think the majority of this station's iron, the stuff that was put in, was gained from this machine in only in a couple of sessions. So, it's a pretty good design. Has-Been's good with that. And this Lard, the HMS Lard, it's seen better days. I think I might be almost at the stage where people are banning me from using their vessels, because I tend to be destroying them too much. To be fair, this happened because of lag. I was connected to the floor and I tried to fly away and it just all exploded for some reason. But that was still my doing. It was a handy little machine while it was operational. I think this is Ed, who has his own channel in Sariland. That's his machine, and he made it. It was originally quite ugly, but I think it turned out all right. So, it was an admirable machine. I don't know. I think we might just be scrapping it from now. What's this one? I think, this is the new one. This might be, what's the name? It doesn't have a name. I'm pretty sure this is, bath mats. Let's just see if there's anything. So these Ed's been doing some work on it. Maybe it is his. I know Bathmat was building a merge block. Maybe he just went off his base and continued. There's a couple of... What are they doing? Is there a reason for those ejectors? Are they commute? I don't understand. Maybe someone can explain why there's two ejectors there for me. Yes, but that's a nice drilling ship and welding ship. They're going to be changed with the merge blocks. Yes, there's the faithful old drilling machine that I've used quite a lot. I don't know why it's upside down into a roof, but when you've got... Actually, I've lost count how many people. I think there's 11 or 12, I'm not sure. When there's, that many people on a server coming in and out all the time, you tend to log in and things like that have just happened. So I'm not going to question it. Yes, those ships, I don't know the order they were built in. That one was built first. Cecil's ship, if you remember from the first episode how I pointed out that Cecil left his ship up there, that disappeared. I'm assuming a meteor hit it. And also, you would have seen in the background Falcus. I have no structure to this episode, by the way. I'm just sort of, getting distracted. But Falcus, he had a drone, a couple of drones orbiting around the station, and it served a little bit of a purpose to start with. It had a Gatling gun on it. Quickly ran out of ammunition though, and we couldn't get out there to refuel it because it was going too quickly. But yeah, they looked good. I really like those drones, and I'm going to set up a couple more. Or might leave it to Falcus, he seems to be the drone expert, and put a solar panel on them. The reason being that I think they've run out of power. We're not sure on that. Maybe they were taken out by a meteor or something else happened. But once they ran out of power, that means the gyro that was keeping them in orbit would also run out of power, and it would go off in a straight line. So presumably they've gone careening off in some direction or other. Back in here. What's this? I'll point that. I'll do another video on that. It was Raven Q's. I'll get together with him. Maybe. I don't want to. I don't want to promise anything. This square used to be a lift. They used to, or elevator for Americans. It used to lift up through the floor there, but I removed it because I added a huge new section out there. Not that, you know, it could really be used. It was a bit slow. This one as well is an aesthetic one. We're going to remove that lip there. In fact, the only the mod that we've got on this is the Blast Door T section, which is quite a popular mod, and the reason being it probably should be in the game. We are making things up as we go along, as far as mods and rules and that sort of thing is concerned. We're mostly, focused on building and having fun. We don't really care about that. We'll change things as they're interesting, but we're not going to be adding any mods that considerably change the sort of function of the game. We want it to remain fairly vanilla in feel, but when things like this are involved, that blast door T section, if you don't know what it is, enables blast doors to more easily connect to a piston, because as you can see, that's a blast door, that's a normal block, and there's a lip between them. Without that lip, without using a full block, it can't connect to the piston. There's a piston underneath, which I can actually demonstrate. Where have all the button panels gone? There's about half a dozen button panels, but apparently they were gone. I'm assuming that operates that? Yes. So, pop in here. Did I miss it? It's not there, of course. Piston hanger elevator, and up it goes. There we go. Oh, up we go. So that the piston needs to connect to something. It's not going to run into that, by the way, in case you won't shoot, get out of the road. It needs to connect to something, which means it needs to be a full block, which leaves that lip. And with that T block, I really wish I could remember who made it. But with that T block, it means that you can have a fully blast door elevator like this or similar construction without that lip. And I'm going to convert it sooner or later. But that's basically why I added it. Why am I missing that? Come on. So what's next? The top door, I'm not going to go into too much, because I made a video with it for Cecil's channel, he's with Gamers Without Shoes, which at the time of recording it's not been uploaded, but hopefully by the time this goes out it is. If not, then just I'll remind you, because it was good building those doors, and I'll open it. It seems wrong not to, and then we can go up and just have a quick peek. Why didn't I group it? It is grouped. I just missed it. So there they go, sliding open like that, and they actually tuck under. Don't worry about that one's not finished yet, but that's where that asteroid hit, meteor hit. But they tuck underneath that layer of what are they called? Catwalks, the single catwalks. So that was lucky, because there's a piston right here. So that would have that came up there. Yes, so I made a video with Cecil. Cecil sort of chose a lot of the aesthetics of it. He did a good job too, because that looks really nice. The way that it just goes in and out. I'm going to just quickly close them. So we go to top door. And you see how it sort of slides out. And then they'll come together. I like that. Almost makes it look hydraulic. But yes, if you want to know how to build something like that, then go to Cecil, because Cecil chose a lot of the aesthetics and I made it work, and I taught him how to make it work. So hopefully he can start doing some things like this. Yes, go check that out. All of this around here, hopefully I haven't been talking too long, all of this around here, I'm not sure what the purpose is yet. I built it originally to protect this blast door from meteors, to build something high enough to sort of, if a meteor was going to hit something like over there, it would hit the building instead of these blast doors, because it's easier to fix the building than these. Although these are quite simple to build, it's still easier. But I seem to have rather miscalculated. Meteors come from roughly the sun. So there's quite a gap there. I might have to look into another way to protect them. And then over here is a control room. I'll just have a look in there in a minute as well. A control room that Ed built, which we, because it's the Barack Obama platform, we named it the Oval Office. This was something silly. I believe Ed will be uploading a video of us building this. It all went horribly wrong. It was quite funny. And then he completed it on his own without me interfering. But this is all rather silly. But, you know, you can sit on the platform, the control room as it rises up, and then you can look out the windows. It's silly, but it was fun. Yeah, there's been a few meteor strikes around here. I should send this down. What's next? I'll have a look inside there. I get through. You notice the different colours and stuff. This used to be very mottled. Yeah, you can see the green and that. Apparently Ed chose green, despite the rest it was blue. I don't know why, but yeah, it's been very mottled coloured, because every time a meteor strikes, it gets coloured back as grey. Don't ask me what that is. I think that's a conveyor system to a Gatling turret or something. So this is into the new room. Taking suggestions. What do we think? What do you think we should put in here? And then this brings it. Oh, ran out of gravity. This brings us up around here into this other long room, which may also give us access down into the asteroid. I'm kind of thinking about building into there. I don't want to go too far with this communal platform, because it isn't anyone in particular. You know, it's not mine, and I probably shouldn't invest too much time into making a huge, big station. But the option's there. We might sort of expand inside an asteroid where it's safer. Right, so suggestions for this? I don't really know. We make it up as we go along. And then we've got this ribbed design out here. Down there, I don't know who built this platform. And to be honest, I don't really know. I think it was Cecil. I think Cecil wanted to sort of connect the platform a little bit better with the asteroid. I think it does look a little bit better. Once it's finished, it'd be even better. And then in here is, on another plane, is an indoor segment that Ed has started to build. Like I said, to make it a bit safer. We could even burrow through from over there down into there, although the plane changes. I don't know why he did that, but I'm sure we could do something about that. There's also, I think it's that one. Yeah, it's that one. You can, if you're watching this on HD and this renders well enough, you could just see a tiny little line out there. That's a connector on a piston. There has been, or Chess Master, and has been down there a little bit as well. I know he's taken some screenshots, but Chess Master was starting to build. That's a big honeycomb asteroid, so there's a big hole in the middle of it. He's starting to build a massive big platform. You know what? I'll go down and visit it in a minute, rather than trying to describe it. But he started that as a sort of replacement for this one, because I think he predicted, I haven't really talked to him, but I think he predicted that this would be wiped out by meteors. So he was getting ahead and building into that asteroid for us. But that, you know, if we keep this here, then that might just become his. I'm not sure. A bit of a different design, just trying out some different things. But yes, I think now is about a good time to, I'll just journey down there as we talk about the meteors. So the idea for this is just to be interesting, to sort of play and make videos. And meteors can both, you know, add a sense of peril, you know, make it a little bit more interesting, because you have to defend your base as well as, you know, make it functional and look nice. I'm going to die here, aren't I? I wonder if he's got a med bay down here. Respawn ship. Of course not. Spacesuit. Don't know what that is. Anyway, we'll go for another journey. Yeah, so they add a sense of peril, which can be interesting. But although we are very stocked up on supplies, has been mining like crazy, and he's got a whole heap of iron, magnesium, and nickel. So we are very stocked up on ammunition. But as you can see up there, even if you have a fair few turrets, some do sneak through, and having to repair all the time. Like today, I spent a couple of hours just repairing. So, yes, this is what Chess Master has been doing. A nice, massive big platform with plenty of room to do things and to expand into all these little caverns. To be honest, I wouldn't mind claiming this as my own. I'm not, but this would be a nice place to build my own little base. I think I will sort of stick to being a little more outside. I probably will be in the shadow of an asteroid, and this is perfect for, you know, building a big base. So I kind of think Chess Master should probably take over in here, make this his, because, you know, invite a few people along to help build, and, you know, you can build rooms into all these little caverns and nooks and crannies. Look at that. That'd be perfect. Hey, that's my opinion if you're watching chess. But yes, back to meteors. If you're repairing and fixing things all the time, it can get a little boring, repetitive, and annoying, especially when you just want to build something. That's why the welding and grinding speeds are quite high. Although, as we progress and we've got better ships and that welding ships, that sort of thing, we might turn that down a little bit to be a little, you know, on the more realistic side. But yeah, that's why we have that up high, so we can build things within a reasonable amount of time, because this is about building. So yeah, that when it comes to meteors, has been actually suggested the idea of using a probability system. So whether it be, you know, daily or every 3 days or every week or something, we don't know. We would roll a dice, and the different numbers on the dice on the die would represent a different meteor setting. So we could even have, you know, like a day of something a bit stronger than normal, or more likely whether it's on or off, and for how long it would be on or off, and it would be decided by probability. So sometimes it would be completely off, and we'd be safe for, you know, a few days, maybe even a week or two, and we could just build to our heart's content. But then it might come back, and we'd have a warning. You know, it wouldn't just happen. So we're not going to start turning it on to quite a lot of quite a lot of meteors without any warning, so people's stuff gets destroyed. We give people a chance to defend and move their stuff in. But maybe a little bit of feedback on that. I don't. I'm not entirely sure. We are making this up as we go along. I'm just floating here. I like the lighting in this game. It is brilliantly lit. Whoop, gravity, and I died. It's a good thing we're not keeping score. So if you want to give a bit of feedback on that, I'll accept that as well. Whether or not we should be switching off meteors based on probability, or maybe we should just do a week at a time or something like that, just to stop this happening constantly. So I think that could do with something in the middle here. Maybe some sort of a dome. Well, not a dome. It's a bit hard to do a dome in a voxel-based game with such a small space. But maybe a bit like that control tower with a wraparound window in the middle here. There's something in there. It'd make it a bit taller as well to protect that blast door. But I think those two pin cushions are a bit... Yeah, I'm not a fan of that, even though I built all of it. I think I'm going to spend maybe a week more just building on this communal build, teaming up with the other YouTubers to make some videos, and indeed the other guys that don't. And then I'll, move out. I quite like the idea of that one, because you get a nice view of down here. Maybe that one's a bit closer there. So maybe if I build in the shadow over there, maybe even in the moons. Too many options. I'll work that out later. I've probably been talking for far too long. Don't get too attached to anything. This with the game in alpha and whatnot. Come next week's update, this might be rendered completely obsolete, and there might be game-breaking bugs that cause things to explode and stuff like that. I realise I've had a bit of a drop in frame rate since the very last update. Things like that might make it difficult to make videos or even play on the server. Maybe we'll build too much and overload everything. I don't know. So I'm having to tell myself, and I'll remind everyone as well, that this might break and we might have to just start again somewhere else. But I'm hoping not. I'm hoping to have this nice communal area with plenty of bases around and people playing regularly. And I'll also have to assess who's on the server, who's playing. I like everyone on the server, obviously, but if people don't have the time or want to play, then I'm going to have to shuffle it a little bit. That's not a threat or anything. That's just why it might have to happen, and I'll discuss that with the guys as well. Just so I can get, about a dozen people who play very regularly. Is that, I'm on this every day. Not that I expect everyone else to be, but, at least every weekend sort of thing. So we can get a nice active server with plenty of options. That's the point of it all. Anyway, yes, I've talked too much. I hope you enjoy what's to come. I hope you managed to wade your way through this update. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.